Hello, if you've been following us, this is our 11th week since we've been back in the UK from living in the USA for 15 years. And we've made a little list, haven't we?
We've made a list of what
Yes.
we're calling the good, the bad, and the surprising.
Yeah.
So we had a video that I think it was about a month. We've been back a month
Yeah.
that we called our first impressions. So I guess these are our second impressions.
Further impressions, if you will.
So we're going to talk about the things that we've noticed here in the UK that are quite dramatically different than our experience in the US. Not all good. Not all good.
But the big changes we've seen from 15 years ago to now, and the contrast between some things in the UK and the USA.
That's right. So stay tuned. Hi. So as we mentioned, we've now been back in the UK for 11-ish weeks. After living in the US for 15 years. If you've followed our journey, you know exactly what's going on. If you haven't, please feel free to look at the links wherever they may be.
And subscribe. And like.
As we have obviously tried to document the majority of what's been going on in our journey back to the UK. So now that we're back, what have we noticed?
Inevitably, we will start with food. Food and eating habits, really, are the two that we'll start off. Food tastes better.
Yes, and we know, well, we had seen either from our Facebook communities or even videos similar to this, that people had mentioned that we would notice a difference in the taste of the food. And we do. And we knew this because we know, well, I definitely know because I worked in the industry, that there are less additives, less chemicals in the food. Like they're not allowed. There's a lot more regulation and restriction around what you can put into foods over here, as well as the welfare of animals that are used, like livestock and chickens and things like that. So we knew that the food would taste a bit better, but it's also less sugar, less salty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
I mean, the keystone, I would say, or the big indicator is bread.
Yeah.
We used to buy loaves of bread. Was it Pepperidge Farm or Arnold bread in the USA?
Whatever was cheapest.
And literally, you could get through a loaf, leave the crusts or heels, as some people call them, of the loaf, and leave them in the bag and leave them in the bread bin and forget about them. You'd come back nearly a month later and there would not be a trace of mold on them, and they would not be
stretching it. You think a month?
I think a month. These things would last forever, like the Twinkies. Here, you got to be careful after a week. If you get the bread, look at the tab, and it's good for the next 4 days. You know, you might get a week out of it. Thankfully, we eat a lot of bread. So.
Even on the packaging, it sort of says plus 3 days, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So.
Before we get onto the taste of the bread, but I got giddy, didn't I? The first time we saw a bit of mold on one of the heels. Oh, we're going to have to throw the bread away. We've got some mold on it. Yay!
Yes, because it kind of makes you wonder what is in the bread in America, doesn't it?
Well,
which, I mean, I didn't want to go in research it too much. But yes, the bread, not just the white bread. We're talking about wholemeal because we've had some seeded bread and wholemeal bread as well, haven't we?
I would say, from someone who doesn't look at the ingredients as much as you do, the one thing that stands out is the bread here tastes like bread. The bread there tastes too sweet. There's too much sugar in it.
They had that, didn't they, with the Subway, that in Ireland they weren't allowed to call the bread in Subway actually bread. It was like a bread-like substance because it had so much sugar and stuff in it that they refused to actually identify it as bread. Anyway, going back to food, natural food, sorry.
The other thing.
Well, no, I was going to go on. Yes.
Okay. Take it away.
Sorry, I was going to talk about seasonality.
Yeah.
Here, they actually, you do start to see produce disappear from the shelves because of the season. So we're now moving into fall or autumn, and it's actually getting colder. Anyway, so like strawberry season is a big summery season here, isn't it? British strawberries, and they're a lot smaller and they taste so much nicer. No offense to American strawberries, but I feel like they're forced because they're grown in wind tunnels and things like
Big
that.
things as well.
And they're big, but they don't always have the taste to them.
Yeah.
So we're starting to see strawberries disappear.
And other things replacing them.
Yeah, and then obviously things coming back in, seasonal things. So you're getting more of your brassicas coming back in, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you can definitely see that there is like more natural food and food choices, but it is a seasonal thing.
And more traceability on the packaging of where
definitely
food has come from. Talking of food as we have to say the portion sizes when we've eaten out in places are smaller, but we like it that way.
Yeah, it's not as if we're starving, and the portion sizes in America are extreme, and you do adapt, and that's why our body shapes have adapted also to that. So we're hoping to go the other way soon. And
thankfully, this is just talking
yes,
heads.
Exactly. Anyway, so the portion sizes are smaller, but like you said, because it's tastier, you are getting that that satiation, aren't you?
Yeah.
To use a fancy word, you're getting satisfied with the food that you're having. I will also go back onto the packaging. The packaging is so easy to interpret because it's right there in black and white, like how much protein, how much salt, how much sugar. On the very front, you don't even, if you wanted to turn over and look at more details, it's there as well. But also portion sizes, like it tells you quite specifically, have 2 biscuits, that's it, you're done, that's it, your portion size. You might ignore it, but it tells you that, doesn't it? It's not. It's overly transparent, I would say, in some cases.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Oh wow. Talking of sport and talking of health.
Well, no. If I can just say one more thing about the food. I know I'm terribly sorry, but we promised you some GoPro footage. And we are going to queue that up. So that is coming. We got a curry, didn't we, for your birthday?
We did indeed.
So we did get some footage. So we will show that. Just stay tuned.
Yes.
Carry on. Your segue. Speaking of healthy.
Speaking of healthy, now the more I've thought about this one since, I'm not so sure about the massive difference because.
Let's say what it is.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was the way that women's sports more celebrated and
just more
coverage.
representation.
Yeah. In the USA, they do have women's basketball, and it makes they have it on the TV and stuff on the big channels. And with teaching in schools, we know that sport is a huge deal there,
right?
Because often it can be a person's passport to pay for college. But we've noticed the difference here, haven't we, in the way things are covered?
I feel, and we weren't like avid sports watchers in America, and I know that the women's football was also big in the US.
Yeah,
but it just seems that it's not a competition, and it's not filler. Like the women's sport is not up there to fill time when there isn't a man's sport to be shown on TV. It is just to me, from what I've seen on the TV, completely my opinion, I feel that women's rugby, women's football, women's cricket, and it's shown and it's celebrated and it's advertised, but it's also the sports people, the women in the sports themselves are more celebrated. You see them, their profile has been raised, I think, significantly from when we were here 15 years ago, but also versus America, where you may have a 1 or 2 or 3 like standout stars. I feel over here that there's just a lot more, and I'm hoping it gets better in the US. I know it is hopefully getting better, but I just feel like here it is definitely a dramatic shift, I think.
While we're on that subject of representation, one thing that we have noticed in the US, because the Olympics coverage in the US was woeful, wasn't it? The Paralympics just seemed to get brushed over on the coverage that we get in the US compared to what we were used to seeing in the UK.
Well, that kind of feeds into another one of our points, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we're jumping over one.
We're jumping over one, but we'll come back to that in a moment. It's just while we were talking about that.
Because we feel there's a lot more inclusivity here and representation of people with disabilities.
Yeah. In the US, there is because it's a bigger population, there's a broader spectrum of people. You do see more of a representation of different ethnicities on TV and in shows and stuff. I think. Don't you think?
Well, I think we have that over here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
But what you do
underrepresentation
see
too
here
much.
is representation of people with disabilities and on
Yeah,
TV more, a lot more than when we left here.
and when we're talking about across the board, so
Yeah.
Paul mentioned about the Paralympics, but even like their guests on shows or quiz shows, they are in drama series, they're in comedy series, they're in romantic series. They're just, they're not pointed out as being people with disabilities. And they're doing the same job as everybody else, either the police officer or,
I can't think
whatever.
of an equivalent of anything like that we
No,
left
and
behind.
again, we didn't watch, every single show there is out there in the US. We could be wrong, but
and again,
these
are always our opinions.
Yes, it's something that we have noticed that there is just even out and about. There's a conscious effort. It seems I feel in the last 15 years over here in the UK to just not have separation. And not I mean, like, to feel like there's obvious separation. It's all seamless, isn't it? It just seems a seamless integration
for everybody.
Yes,
and it means everybody. Now onto your particular hobby horse, your
this is
area of expertise.
If you watched our very, very first video, you'll notice that one of the things I think I talked about was the environment and how it's something that I have been teaching about and trying to support and what's the word? Advocate for. Yes, thank you. For a long, long time, and was struggling really in the US because where we lived, specifically in Charlotte, North Carolina, it didn't seem like there was a lot.
It was a token effort.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge effort. Whereas here, again, I feel over the last 15 years, it has become quite integrated in society over here. First of all, I haven't witnessed anybody trying to tell me that it's a hoax, that climate change is not real, that it's just been made up. I don't have to persuade anybody that it's actually happening right now. So that's one positive.
Accompany me to the supermarket without having a conniption fit over people using
because everybody's
plastic bags.
Everybody's reusing their own bags. But there's also these zero waste shops here where you don't have to use any plastic containers. Paul was you may have mentioned this in the earlier video. Whenever we were first setting up the apartment, the flat that we're in, a lot of the packaging, instead of, like, you had got that vacuum cleaner, didn't you? And all of the little bits didn't come in plastic bags; they came in paper bags, which could be recycled or decomposed.
There's only things that we got from Amazon that had come from China.
Yeah,
that you still use polystyrene. Everything that we bought here, or from within the EU, I think, still all came with cardboard, which is recyclable. Which, I meant quite a few trips to the dump to dump off the recycling, but it was there.
Speaking of recycling, it's made easier, and it's the norm.
Yeah,
it's not the exception; it's the norm. Yeah, we don't have a plethora of bins. We have 2 bins, don't we? But the majority of your waste should be going into the recycling one, shouldn't it? Not the normal waste one.
We don't have a garden here. We don't have any green garden waste or anything like that. We just have the 2 bins.
But also, there's single-use plastics. If you get takeout here, or you go to the coffee shop or whatever, all of the materials are now either compostable or they are recyclable or something. They have stations. Even in the supermarkets, you can bring your own waste in from supermarkets. If you can't recycle it in your home, they have like bins everywhere that you can actually recycle things. So it is really, and also the other part, the flip side of it is that there are so many not just communities, but worldwide, countrywide, there are highlighting in lots of the TV shows, a lot of radio, just all the solutions, all of the things that people are doing, whether it's rewilding, looking after meadows and planting wildflowers for, for the soil and for pollinators, or community projects where they are trying to, set up community farms or community allotments. There are celebrities who are buying woodlands to restore woodlands, aren't they?
There seems to be an increased awareness here, whereas in the US it's probably just on the coasts, isn't it? Particularly affluent areas, people in the middle bits of America. I don't know. It just seems to be they're more likely to say no such thing as climate change. Why is it getting hotter if it's all the usual crap?
So it just, for me, as a personal thing, and I think Paul feels his way as well, I just feel like I'm back where I know that at least there are like-minded people who want to make a difference, who want to make a change, to make it better for us and for future generations. Speaking of nature, being in nature. So one of the things that we noticed quite early on when we moved to the US was that people looked at us funny if we walked for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Very, very rarely we would see people in where we lived. The shops were a mile from where we lived, and you would see one person walking up that road. There was no pavement for a start. Shortly after we moved in, didn't we? I had to walk there one day because the car broke down. I had to go and get some fluid for the car, and walking along, you were taking your life in your hands because it was, they were just not made for pedestrians.
Right. Whereas over here, there is actually, and has been for a long, long time, hasn't there? There's been this right to roam. I mean, there's been footpaths to begin with, hasn't there? There's been pavements.
Yeah.
I think some of it is obviously because there's a public transport system as well, so people are constantly walking and bus stops.
Well,
but
where we are, we have to say we see people daily getting off the train with rucksacks on and things, going for a walk from where we are up into the Peak District.
But this right to roam means that you can walk on the land, like you can walk across farmland, you can walk across even private lands. People have the right to some extent, but there are actual like public footpaths built into these areas.
Protected rights of way. Yeah.
So that you can actually go out and walk and hike, and you don't have to go to a national park. You don't, like, we can just literally walk down the street and we have access to the canal, and we have walked up and down the canal roads, haven't we? These are public access ways, and people do them. But then the other thing, I don't know about you, but this wild swimming seems to be a thing over here now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's now public lakes and rivers and streams and the sea around the coastline. People are just going into the water in all weathers.
Yes. You see, I was terrified by public information films as a child about going in swimming in places that weren't safe to swim. So it has no appeal to me whatsoever.
Yeah. I think that's more like, quarries and things like that, where they're not, and we're not saying that everywhere you should swim, because obviously there is still pollution and such, but there seems to be this uptick of people wanting to get out into nature and exercise in nature rather than go to gyms and things like that. I'm not saying that gym membership is down. We haven't been to a gym, don't know, but from just this is 11 weeks in, as I say.
We've not been everywhere. We've not seen everything yet, have we? So there's bound to be.
It just seems that being outside now is something that is really celebrated, isn't it?
Yeah. And talking of leisure, look at that, seamless. One of the things that we had in the US that many people did not seem to possess was a good grasp of work-life balance. On a number of occasions, people pointed out to us, well, we'd say, well, once the bell goes, that's it. We're not taking any work on with us, and we're not coming in out of hours. I mean, we had done that in the past. Other things, and ultimately it's to your own detriment. You don't really get that
teaching is a different kettle of fish. I mean, there are things that we would always do on our own time. I mean, planning, for example. But when you're starting out as a teacher, you kind of tend to do a lot more at home, just because you're getting established. But as you get a bit more experienced,
Mm.
I think for us, we had one of our bosses actually revealed to me in a meeting that she was kind of jealous that we had this
Cut off.
Like they knew that if they emailed us after school hours or at the weekend, they were not expecting a response from us until the next working day. But that wasn't the case for a lot of teachers. A lot of teachers, they would, and even parents, and that's the thing, we don't want really parents to expect you to, respond to them if you get an email from at 9:00 at night. Like that is not a natural thing to do. So over here, it is kind of just the culture, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we exported that when we went home.
I think that was already in existence. The thing that we've noticed, and we're not working, as we've mentioned, we've been saving, and so we have this sort of bit of a breathing space. But we've been looking at job adverts, haven't we?
Yeah.
And there just seems to be a lot more employers out there that are happy to offer part-time or flexible work hours, or even job sharing. There just seems to be there's more opportunities now to actually balance a family life as well as, or even just if you don't need to work a full 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, there are opportunities out there. It used to be that you would kind of have to cajole a bit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Your employer, but now it's just part of the culture. And then the other part, I think, is the holidays.
Yes, yeah. Because teaching, you do get that big summer holiday in the US. I had a job in the US within the first 6 months of getting there, and it was an hourly contract. It was the benefits and holidays in comparison to the job that I'd left, which wasn't great compared to the previous job I had before that. It was insane, wasn't it? You get nothing.
And you over here, pardon me, in the UK, you have 28 days. That is like minimum, and that includes bank holidays, what they would call federal holidays. And if you don't work that's full time. If you don't work full time, then that is obviously prorated for the hours that you do work. But it's not just the fact that A, you have the holiday time, is that B, you're not frowned upon. It's not frowned upon to actually take your holiday time.
Yeah.
Like you are allowed to take your 2-week holiday and everybody or your boss to sort of look at you funny.
Yeah. I mean, most Americans that we talk to, they would have a 2-week holiday, 2-week vacation a year, and that'd be it. Really, they'd have one,
but not the
holiday.
First year that they're working, because you don't have the time to take.
People that have been at a place for a while, because sometimes they're made to feel guilty about taking time off,
and also sick. Sickness isn't a holiday. In America, in some places, even in our establishment in schools, like your sick days are taken away as holidays. Like we just had 10. We don't have that in the UK, but in the US you get 10. Well, we had 10 personal days. But so if you're sick, your personal days are taken from you. So, you think that you've got this holiday time, you don't, because if you have the flu, your days are going to get used up.
Yeah.
So I think what we're essentially saying here is that it feels like in the US,
you live to work,
but in the UK,
you work to live.
So there's a vast difference there.
Is that right? Did I get that right?
So we have a few more bits that we're going to talk about, but we have a correction.
Yes. Earlier on, my learned colleague mentioned that strawberries might be grown in wind tunnels, which you would do if you wanted aerodynamic strawberries. However, she meant polytunnels.
Yes, I meant the polytunnels. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Anyway.
So, we have a few, hopefully shorter ones that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So this is kind of just
differences we've noticed between 2010 and 2025.
Yeah, and also like between the US and the UK. So the first one, obviously, and we've talked about this quite a lot, is you don't have to worry about the tax anymore. Tax is already included in the prices. We don't all have to walk around with a calculator.
That was one of the things that caught us out when we moved to the USA, and now we're quite used to having the VAT included in the fact. So we'd have to
break it down, don't they? In some places, they'll tell you like this and the VAT. Like if you look at the receipt,
it's usually
it'll
on
break out
big
the
items,
VAT.
so it's not on groceries. Anyway,
and then also tipping. Tipping is not mandatory.
Yeah,
people get paid a fair wage. You don't have to supplement their wages with tips. So it's completely up to you if you want to tip or not. And then when you come to pay, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, it's all contactless now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, was in the chemist yesterday, and because we still had a US credit card.
Chemist is a pharmacist, in case you're in the US.
If you're in the US. And I couldn't see the contactless tap thing, so I inserted the card, and it printed off a receipt that I had to sign. The guy had never ever seen one in his working life before where you had to sign.
Very rarely do we have to sign, but one thing is, if you are using American cards, carry your own pen.
Yes, because it's something that doesn't occur. So
yeah. Sorry, the screen just looked like it froze on us, but hopefully it didn't.
No, it's working.
Carry your own pen. We were just saying. Also,
jazz hands, the international method of telling that something's working.
We haven't done a great deal on public transport, but we have gotten on the train a couple of times, haven't we?
Well, it's because we're living next door to a train station, so it makes it very, very easy. But on the other side of it, there's a bus, big bus stop.
So we walked to the shops the other day, and if we'd gotten too tired, we could have just hopped on the bus to come back into town.
Or kayaked up the canal.
We don't have to use the car, and we've noticed that we probably, you fill the car once a month now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple of things that
getting on our nerves.
Over here. Yeah, so I think we're getting on to just a couple of little bad things. Nothing like crazy bad, but it's to do with TV, really. One thing that, and it could be, and it's just our preference, this is just our taste, but there seems to be this new rash of reality TV shows.
Reality TV's been around since forever in various forms, but the new crop of things like The Traitors and the other things that we've seen where people are encouraged to be crappy to one another,
and deceitful and lying, and I know that. So if you think about like Bake Off, it's a competition. We get that it's a competition, but everybody's kind of still, championing everybody else. This seems to be the opposite of that, where people are now just, again, we haven't really seen a whole series, so we may be out of order here. I don't know, but it's not our cup of tea.
I think that kind of thing's always been there to a certain extent, but it just seems to be ramped up a bit of late, and I just don't get it. I don't get with most reality TV, I don't understand.
Yeah, we just don't understand
the pleasure people get from it.
The pleasure, exactly, from people being pitted against each other. Yeah.
Whilst we're watching television, there will be adverts on the commercial channels, and
it's all about betting. It's all about gambling.
So many online betting things.
Like innocuous things like bingo.
Yeah.
All the way through to betting on a football game, or I know that betting has been legal here on sports and things has been legal for centuries, but
50 years.
It just used to sort of be like a couple of adverts in a paper, and obviously you'd see the betting shops and everything downtown, but it seems to be like every other advert now is something to do with gambling.
Saturated with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that might just be us.
And we don't tend to love watching the adverts anyway. But we started
where we can skip them.
Skip them, but we also wanted to, because the adverts over here are very different, aren't they, from the adverts in the US?
Yeah.
And we wanted, some of them are very funny. Like if you're a Brit, you understand that we grew up watching the adverts like You've Been Tangoed, and
or the Hamlet ones, that kind of thing.
Or the I Want to Be Smith's Crisps. Yeah. And so there can be some really good adverts over here. So we wanted to see what the new crop of adverts are like, and kind of got hit by all these gambling
ones. Interestingly enough, and we're probably going over time here, but recently in the US, we'd see advertisements that were dubbed with an American voice, but you look at the buildings and the street and the cars behind the people in the advert, and it would be here. So they've taken an advert, whereas they normally do their own, products in an American environment. If it's good enough and it sells enough, they'll take it over there.
Yeah. So that's just a couple of what we feel are negatives. Most of them have been nice surprises, really, haven't they?
And it's every day there's something new that we didn't think of before. We've had to make changes in various parts, but we'll go into those in different videos in the future, won't we?
Yeah. I think just one more that was surprising was how they renamed some of the products that we were using. So in America, we used Bounty and Charmin.
Yeah.
And when we left, they were called Bounty and Charmin. When we left 15 years ago.
Yeah. And now it's Plenty and Cushelle, is it?
Cushelle, something like that. Yeah. There's not a bear, it's a koala.
Yeah.
So there are some surprising things that have taken us a little while to think, why? What happened? Where did they go?
Yeah. Scrubbing Bubbles was Toilet Duck was Scrubbing Bubbles.
Yeah. Mr. Muscle.
Mr. Muscle was Pledge and things like that, wasn't it?
Anyway, so some things have taken us by surprise.
Yeah.
Please let us know if you are coming back to the UK or have recently moved back. What things have you noticed?
Yeah.
What things should we look out for that we haven't spotted yet? Yeah. What pleasures await us, as it were?
Try and keep it positive. It's easy to be negative, but there are more good things than there are bad things. Trust us.
So far, we're still feeling that. Okay, we're going to leave it there. As Paul said, we're going a bit over time. Mm-hmm. So we hope that you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you'll stay tuned next week. We're going to continue our Why We Left America series.
The grim ones.
And then hopefully some GoPro footage on its way.
I'm working on it furiously. Take care.
Cheers for now.
Bye for now.